Imagine a world where every day is a battle for survival. Tens of thousands of years ago, during the Ice Age, early humans lived in one of the most harsh environments imaginable. Freezing temperatures, scarce food, and deadly predators were constant. In this unforgiving world, survival wasn't just about brute strength, it was about making the right choices. And when it came to choosing a mate, bigger women were often more ideal. Let's set the scene. The Ice Age wasn't just cold, it was brutal. Food was scarce during the winter months. Hunting large game like mammoths or bison was dangerous and uncertain, and plant-based food was nearly non-existent when snow blanked the ground. Early humans lived on the edge of starvation for months at a time. Now, imagine the traits that would help someone survive in this environment. A lean body might look ideal in today's world, but back then, it was a liability. Extra body fat wasn't just useful, it was life-saving. It provided insulation against the cold and acted as an energy reserve when food was scarce. For early humans, body fat was directly tied to survival and fertility. A woman with a fuller figure can endure the long, harsh winters, and more importantly, she could continue to bear and nourish children even when resources were limited. From a biological standpoint, fat is critical for reproductive health. Women need a certain percentage of body fat to maintain regular ovulation and support a pregnancy. In times of famine, a woman with very little body fat might stop ovulating altogether, making it impossible for her to conceive. But a woman with these more stored energies could carry a child even under tough conditions. This made bigger women more desirable mates. It wasn't just about attraction, it was about ensuring the survival of the group. Let's talk more about food and scarcity. Hunting was unpredictable. Even the most skilled hunters might come back empty-handed for days or weeks at a time. In these moments, a woman's stored body fat became critical, not just for her own survival, but for the survival of her children. It's important to remember that early human societies were incredibly dependent on their women, and not just for reproduction, but also for gathering and sometimes hunting smaller game. A bigger woman with her energy reserves could contribute to the group's survival for long periods, even during famine, and there's even evidence to support this. The preference for fuller figures isn't just speculation. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence that early humans valued bigger women. One of the most compelling examples is the Venus figurines. These small carved statues of women have been found all across Europe and parts of Asia, dating back as far as 40,000 years ago. What's fascinating about these figurines is how they depict the female form. They emphasize wide hips, fuller chests, and rounded stomachs, traits associated with fertility, health, and the ability to endure tough conditions. Take the famous Venus of Willendorf, for example. This figurine, discovered in Australia, is just 4 inches tall, but has exaggerated features that highlight a woman's ability to store fat. Scholars believe these figurines weren't just representations of beauty, but symbols of survival. They may have been fertility idols or even talismans meant to ensure the prosperity of the group. The number of Venus figurines found suggests that this preference for larger women was widespread among early human groups. It wasn't just one tribe or culture, it was near universal ideal, shaped by the challenges of the Ice Age. In those days, infant mortality rates were incredibly high. Many children didn't survive to adulthood, so having as many healthy offspring as possible was crucial for their survival. A woman's body was her greatest asset. Her ability to carry and nourish children determined whether her family, her tribe, and even her species could survive. Fuller figured women were more likely to have the energy reserves needed for pregnancy and breastfeeding during those times of famine. And it wasn't just about having children, it was about ensuring they survived. Breastfeeding was a vital source of nutrition for infants like it is today, and a mother needed significant body fat to produce milk. A bigger body meant a better chance for her children to survive their first, most vulnerable years. The Ice Age wasn't just cold, it was unpredictable. Climate shifts could turn fertile lands into frozen wastelands overnight. Early humans had no way of knowing what the next year would bring, so they valued traits that offered the best chance of survival. This is why bigger women became symbols of abundance and security. Their bodies represented the ability to endure, to sustain life, and to thrive in the most harsh conditions. As cavemen moved out of the Ice Age and into more stable climates, these preferences began to change. In warmer regions with more abundant food sources, the need for stored fat became less critical over time. Different cultures developed their own ideals of beauty, shaped by their environments and resources. But during the Ice Age, it wasn't about aesthetics, it was about practicality, and a bigger body wasn't just attractive, it was a symbol of survival and the continuation of life. In colder climates, early humans hunted animals with higher fat content, like mammoths, bison, and seals. These provided not just protein, but the rich, fatty calories needed for survival in harsh winters. They also ate nuts like walnuts, hazelnuts, and seeds, which were packed with fats and calories. When they found a good stash, it was a jackpot for energy. Fruits, especially when ripe, were full of natural sugars. Honey was another rare but highly prized find. It's pure sugar and would have been a prehistoric energy boost. Near rivers or coasts, they caught fatty fish like salmon, a great source of omega-3s and calories. During harvest-like seasons, when fruits and nuts were abundant, or after a big hunt, they would feast, storing fat for tougher times. In short, cavemen and women relied on calorie-dense foods when they could find them. Fat wasn't just for survival, like I said. It was a strategy to endure scarcity in cold climates. Interestingly, these ancient preferences still resonate today. While modern beauty standards are influenced by media and culture, the idea that fuller figures symbolize health and fertility persists in many parts of the world. It's a reminder of how deeply our evolutionary past is integrated in us. It's easy to see why bigger women were seen as more ideal. They weren't just symbols of beauty. They were symbols of life, resilience, and the power to survive.